everyone, and welcome to Get Started Fast with Avid Sibelius 7.5, presented by Avid Blogs. My name is Philip Rothman, and in this 5-part tutorial series designed mostly for new users, we'll go through the basics of Sibelius 7.5 so you can get started fast and make music with it as quickly as possible. For this lesson, we'll cover how to create and use the various score elements that are known as notations and text. Notations include things like key and time signatures, clefs, special bar lines, hairpins, and slurs, while text can be anything from dynamics and expressions to technique text, tempo markings, lyrics, and chord symbols. We reviewed the ribbon in our last lesson, and everything we cover here will be found in either the Notations or the Text tab, and it's good to know that it's all there. You'll soon see, though, that it's often easier and quicker to use the easy keyboard shortcuts available in Sibelius. Let's start with key signatures. I'll show you 3 different ways to place key signatures in your score. The first way is to make sure that nothing is selected. Be certain of this by either clicking anywhere in your score where there isn't music or another object, or press Escape. Then, with the Notations tab selected in the ribbon, click the Key Signature button. As you might expect, its shortcut is the letter K, and you could just as easily hit that key. Now, select your desired key signature. The cursor turns blue to show that Sibelius is carrying the key signature. Click to place it in your score. You'll notice that Sibelius automatically adds a double bar line and also adds a cautionary key signature if the change happens over a system break. Let's try putting in another key signature change, but this time I'll pre-select where I want it to go. I'll type K and use the arrow keys this time to select my key signature. As soon as I hit return, the key signature will be placed in the score. And as you can see, this key change is in effect until the next one appears. Finally, I'll make a passage selection to show Sibelius the exact start and end of my key signature change. Sibelius will restore the existing key signature at the end of my selection, like so. Any of these key signature changes can be selected and deleted by simply hitting Delete. While we're here, let's deal with these double bar lines. I can select them too and delete them in the same way. Sibelius restores a default bar line in their places. You may notice that Sibelius automatically places a final bar line on the last measure of your score, but you can place any type of bar line anywhere you like, in the same way we just placed a key signature. Bar line doesn't have its own keyboard shortcut by default, but remember in our last lesson, I accessed it with key tips by using the Control key on Mac, or Alt on PC, and typing N, then BL. I'll place another one here by using the mouse. To immediately undo what I just did, I'll use the Undo shortcut, Command-Z on Mac or Control-Z on PC, to undo multiple steps. Time signatures are placed in the same way as key signatures, and its shortcut is T, as you might have guessed. You can select from the most common meters or type in your own. If you place a time signature change in a place where music exists, Sibelius will rebar it to fit the new time signature. This can be overridden by selecting more options at the bottom of the gallery after you select T for time signature and unchecking Rewrite Bars up to next time signature. Clefs are placed on a staff-by-staff basis, but otherwise they behave similarly to key and time signatures. Its shortcut is the letter Q, because the letter C is already reserved for the note name C. You can place an open-ended clef change, like this, or you can circumscribe it to a passage selection, at the end of which the original clef will be restored. Try dragging around the clef for many hours of fun and entertainment. Well, if you have nothing better to do, I suppose. Clef changes, of course, can be selected and deleted. Hairpins, otherwise known as crescendos and diminuendos, can be placed by selecting the note at the position where you'd like the hairpin to start, then type the letter H for a crescendo, and press the space bar to advance the hairpin to each successive note. For a diminuendo, select the note, hold down Shift and type H, and similarly advance with the space bar. If you found you've gone too far, simply hold down Shift and hit the space bar to retract the hairpin. You can use the arrow keys for finer adjustments left or right, or even up and down. Remember that in Sibelius, Command on Mac or Control on PC means do this but more, and you can hold down Command and use the arrow keys to move the hairpin in larger increments. If you click either end of a hairpin, a small handle will appear, which will allow you to make these adjustments. You can, of course, use the mouse as well. If you know in advance how long you'd like your hairpin to be, just make a passage selection and type H or Shift H to place your crescendo or diminuendo for the duration of the passage. Slurs work very similarly to hairpins. Select your starting note, type the letter S, and press the space bar to advance. Sibelius will magnetically snap the slur to the notes in the proper position, and will even correctly flip a slur if it encompasses both downstem and upstem notes. Again, Shift Space to retract the slur. You can place slurs on a passage selection, just like hairpins. Hairpins and slurs are just two of many different lines in Sibelius, which can be accessed easily in the ribbon or by typing the letter L. You'll find that trills, octave lines, and many other lines can be placed in a similar way. Next to the Lines gallery is the Symbols gallery, accessed via shortcut by the letter Z for Zymbols. Remember that we've already used the letter S for slur. Here you'll find an incredible array of symbols that can be placed in your score. Again, you can either click a symbol and place it in your score with nothing selected, or tell Sibelius exactly where you'd like it to go by selecting the place in your score in advance of choosing the symbol. Now let's move on to text, and we'll start with dynamics. In Sibelius, dynamics like pianissimo and forte are really just special types of text known as expressions. To create a dynamic, select where you'd like it to go, and type Command-E on Mac or Control-E on PC. You can also find the expression category in the ribbon in the Styles section. You'll notice a flashing cursor. At this point, you can right-click anywhere on the screen to bring up a contextual menu of the most commonly used dynamics and expressions. If you don't have a right button on your mouse on the Mac, hold down the Control key, not the Command key, and click. Select your expression to place it in the score. Hit Escape to dismiss the flashing cursor. You can also easily type in your dynamics. Again, Command-E or Control-E to place your expression, but this time, keep holding down the Command or Control key. Then, type your dynamic. By holding down the Command or Control key and typing a letter, you are telling Sibelius to write a dynamic in the special music text font instead of an ordinary text font. You can type any combination of music letters that you like, with one exception. Because the shortcut for undo is Command-Z or Control-Z, to get the special Z to appear, you'll need to type Option-Shift-Command-Z on Mac or Control-Shift-Alt-Z on PC. But if you can't remember that, you can always just right-click and select the Z from the contextual menu. You can even create a hybrid expression with both music text and ordinary text. Simply hold down Command or Control when you want the music text and release it when you don't. If you wish to edit your text later, just double-click on it to edit it much as you would in a word processor. You can also select the text and hit Return to edit your text. Creating technique text, like pizzicato, arco, and mute, is practically the same as creating expressions, except that by default they are placed above the staff in a non-italicized font, and they have their own predefined word menus. The shortcut is Command-T on Mac or Control-T on PC. Expressions and dynamics can be copied and pasted by selecting them and Option-clicking on Mac or Alt-clicking on PC where you'd like them to go. To get the object to snap to its default vertical position when you do this, add the Shift key to these shortcuts. Tempo marks are similar to technique text, except that they will always appear on the top staff of your score, because they apply to all the instruments at once. The shortcut for tempo text is Option-Command-T on Mac or Control-Alt-T on PC. You can combine ordinary text and note values. Right-click to bring up the available options, like to place a metronome mark in the same expression as tempo text. No matter which instrument you click on in your score, tempo text will always appear at the top. Don't worry, once you print the individual parts, you'll see a tempo marking on each and every part. We'll cover working with parts in a later lesson. Lyrics are created by selecting where you'd like to place them and typing Command-L on Mac or Control-L on PC. You can also click the Lyrics button in the ribbon, and you'll notice a split button with support by default for up to 5 lines of lyrics, which can be useful if you have several verses. Just start typing in your lyrics. If you have a hyphen or a space, Sibelius will advance to the next note. If you type more than one space, say for a tied note or a melisma, Sibelius will draw a lyric line under those notes. You can even copy lyrics from another source, like a Word document or a web page, and paste them into Sibelius. Just copy your text, type Command-L to initiate the lyrics, and then just keep typing Command-V on Mac or Control-V on PC to do so. Sibelius will automatically hyphenate multisyllabic words. Type the spacebar if you need a melisma. Sibelius supports a wide variety of chord symbols. I'll just scratch the surface here. The shortcut is Command-K on Mac or Control-K on PC. You can either type in your chord or play it using your MIDI keyboard. Hit space to advance to the next note, or hit the Tab key to move to the next bar. Sibelius even recognizes inversions. Rehearsal marks are placed by selecting the bar where you'd like the mark to go and typing Command-R on Mac or Control-R on PC. You can also click the Rehearsal Mark button in the ribbon. Sibelius will automatically place them in sequence for you, and if you decide to add another rehearsal mark later, any subsequent marks will intelligently update. Notice also how rehearsal marks are automatically added to the timeline. If you forgot to add your title and composer text when you first set up your score, you can do it at any time by clicking on the very first bar of your score, choosing Title from the Styles gallery, and typing your title. The same goes for other page type text like composer and copyright text. Sibelius will place them in reasonable positions by default. This wraps up our third lesson. In Lesson 4, we'll discover how to transpose music and work with transposing scores, and we'll do some basic layout. We'll also get to hear your music when we cover Sibelius's playback features, the mixer, and working with video. To learn how to create music without bounds and deliver higher quality, inspiring music, visit avidblogs.com/music.